Welcome back. Let's continue our conversation now on the decision of the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar to leave the PDP. Now being joined on the program by Simbo Olorunfemi, who is a political scientist. Mr. Olorunfemi, thank you very much for coming on the program. This, of course, is no surprise. I mean, I would say we all saw this coming, right?
Absolutely, we did. We did. It's no surprise at all. I mean, everyone knew that Water at some point was going to find its level. So it's no surprise that it's finally gone back to the party, to the ADC. The home is set up to be able to articulate his ambition, to be able to make his ambition come true for the possibly the very last time.
What do you think this means for the PDP? I mean, what impact is this likely to have for the PDP? Even though we've heard governors like Seyi Makinde say, look, it's good riddance, that nothing happens. It doesn't affect the party at all. I mean, we've had Chief Bode George come out to say the same thing as well.
Yeah, I would say that I agree with them, but not, politicians are the most optimistic people you ever find around. So you understand where they're coming from. But I come from a different angle because I saw this coming, and I already said that what we're going to end up with is the PDP would be reduced to a fringe party. AD itself might not be able to fly that high because I see Peter will be eventually not being a part of that the ADC arrangement and flying on his own wings, and that we might end up with with one strong party and three parties that are not that strong. So I suspect that PDP will still be there. We don't know who's going to emerge as the candidate. You mentioned Seyi Makinde, he might emerge as the presidential candidate of the party, but I don't see PDP going because I see the governors, the PDP governors, most of the PDP governors staying put in the party and flying on the ticket of that party. I think PDP will stabilize as it is now in a way, because I think they are planning to have their neck in a matter of maybe is it next week, in the matter of weeks or days, and the other party, the other wing, the other faction of the party that seemingly has established a bit of control with the national secretary and the national chairman of the party being on their side. It will seem they will be able to settle down now and form a house. But what they're going to eventually do, if they're going to go the whole hog and really give APC a fight, is left to be seen. But I don't see that. I see PDP. As far back as 2014, I had predicted that PDP was already dead as a national party. Even though what transpired in 2023, they had a chance at a rebirth in 2023, but unfortunately they didn't seize it. So I see what we're going to be faced with will be something close to what we had in 1999, where we had the PDP as a dominant party. Then you had the AD and the APP. Remember that I think in the presidential elections, I think the APDP, in the governorship election, I think AD was in control of about 6 states, APP in control of about 9 states, with the rest of the states left to the PDP. So we might get to that kind of situation now where you have ADC able to maybe win one. Some states, PDP will be in control of some states, and majority of the states will be in the control of APC. All things being equal, because this is 2025. And anything can happen between now and 2027.
Do you think by leaving the PDP, I mean, Atiku leaving the PDP now, would you say the problems of the party, in the immediate term now, would you say the problems of the party is over? Because we hear, for instance, the deputy national publicity secretary of the party are saying that the party is considering, for instance, sacking the FCT minister for anti-party activities, saying that a committee has been set up to do the job. And you begin to wonder if that would not be asking for more trouble.
Well, I listened to the interview with the National Public Secretary on one of the TV stations. I don't think he's I don't think it was. I think it was more like trying to just be. Would it be politically correct and come across as like a neutral person? Because if you had followed the intrigues within the PDP National Executive Committee or the National Working Committee, or is it NEC, all that was going on, where you had the PDP National Public Secretary, Debo Ologunagba, going in a different direction from that of the chairman of the party. We realized that at every point then, when the national chairman needed to communicate a position that was different from that of the national public secretary, it was always the national deputy public secretary that was always put to use. So what I saw then was that I thought Damagum and the national deputy public secretary were in the same boat. So I think he was just speaking to the fact that, of course, there was already in existence a committee that was supposed to look into the activities of, and you know, this as it is, it was not personalized. It was not just Wike alone that was up for investigation or for possible disciplinary action. But what I see is that even before Vice President Atiku left, the PDP had already moved in a certain direction, more towards a direction of reconciliation. Can we make the best of what we have? Because you remember that there was a time that they were moving in a direction where there was just about to be a coalition, where some were insisting that Samuel Anyanwu had to step aside, even when some were saying he must step aside, but even when it was obvious that the law was more on his side. But you could see that with the matter, in the matter of time, even the governors that had been insistent that he had to leave, he had to be Ude Okoye and not Samuel Anyanwu, saw the wisdom in just letting that rest, because after all, it's just a matter of months before the tenure will lapse. So, and if you know that Samuel Anyanwu is Nyesom Wike's person, it tells you that for them to have considered to allow him to continue in that direction, they must have seen that it just makes more sense. It's just a better or more pragmatic move to make the best of what they have. So, to answer the question directly, I believe that they're going to be able to work something out among them. So I don't see them going in that direction of disciplinary action against Wike. I suspect that they will accept their reality as it is. The national chairman doesn't come out, even though people allege that he's in Nyesom Wike's camp. But each time you hear him speak, he tries to speak like the leader of the party, like he's not on anyone's side. I think it's gotten to the point where they'll come together. I see them being able to come together. I see that there might be, of course, a political party is never settled. I mean, power contestation is always a recurring factor in the activities of any political party, because that's what it's all about anyway. So, no matter what, there might just be a minority faction that might not be comfortable. But once there's a clear direction on which direction the party is moved, then there will be alignment of forces, which I see happening. Once the convention comes and a certain tendency takes control of the affairs of the party, then that will be people who are not comfortable with that arrangement will leave the party. Then to be, I don't want to use the word, it will be like a party faction after the ideology or the philosophy of Wike. That is what that party. That's why I see the PDP becoming. Let me not. Or maybe that's extreme, but I think it will be like something between him and some of the governors who are comfortable with that platform. Governors who are not necessarily interested in the presidential race. Governors who just want to hold on to that platform to be able to actualize their own ambition at maybe at state level and senators and all that, believing that the structure serves them well, rather than moving to ADC where it's likely the feed of the unknown.
Okay, let me ask you this. Could we say now that, that the ADC ticket is just there for Atiku Abubakar to pick up. Because you look at the party now, the party is populated by his men, whether you like it or not. And some of them are still coming in. They've taken control. His men are now in charge of the leadership. Quite a number of them are coming in. So could we say that the ticket is just there for him to pick up? And if that is the case, the question is, what then happens to people like Peter Obi, Rotimi Amechi? I mean, these are individuals too who are nursing presidential ambitions.
Well, to answer the question, we've already answered. And you remember we discussed this the other time, and that it would have been naive on the part of a Peter Obi or any other person to have thought that the ADC was set up for any other purpose but to be a special purpose vehicle for to enable Alhaji Atiku Abubakar achieve his ambition. It was apparent, it was clear. In fact, I remember listening to Mrs. Aneni on one of the TV stations, I think a few days back, and she said, that they didn't even know whether, or maybe, I think she was referring to that meeting. To her, she didn't know that was supposed to be an ADC meeting. I think some of the people even who came for the PDP, that function, did not realize that was what it was all about. And I suspect that Peter Obi is one of those in that category who did not quite fully understand what that public event was all about. But people know. I mean, you have to track back. If Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is not interested in running for the presidency in 2027, he would have pulled back. He would have pulled back long ago. He's clear, and he's made it clear. His men have been out there, made it very clear that he's going to run for presidency in 2027. So to think that you will find a situation where Atiku Abubakar will be in the party and he would subject himself to a primary elections, he thinks he might not win, is unlikely. It's been clear from 1992. Now he's determined to be the president of Nigeria. He believes this is his last shot. I think what he's trying to do is to be able to convince someone like Peter Obi to be a part of that arrangement. But if you've seen the body language of even Peter Obi and most of his supporters, you can see that it's not likely to work out that way. So, and you brought in Rotimi Amechi. I think maybe Rotimi Amechi is angling more for the number 2 position. I think that is what we might end up with. We might end up with an Atiku Amechi joint ticket for 2027. As it is, except something drastic, except something, something huge happens, I don't see how a Peter Obi will be able to be accommodated or would want to be a part of that arrangement, because his people have said that they would rather want him on top of the ticket, which does not seem a possible scenario, because it's difficult to see a situation where Peter Obi will be on top of the ticket and it will be deputized, Atiku Abubakar will come in as his running mate. It's unlikely. So, and if the obedience insists that it is Peter Obi or nothing, then it means it can't work. But in the first place, the ADC was never designed for a Peter Obi. You might be thinking, true, they've been talking about coalition and all that, but that coalition arrangement wasn't supposed to be, because if you want the coalition, we said it then that coalition in the first place is always among parties. If you're talking about coalition, then you'll be talking about parties, not about individuals. It's not a congregation of maybe influential or powerful individuals coming together. That's not what forms a coalition. You can even talk about possible alliance or emergence. Okay. You remember in 1999 we had the AD, Alliance for Democracy,
and
APP alliance.
The APP then.
People don't even remember that. That was a different arrangement altogether. We had APP was in control of 9 states, and AD was in control of 6 states. Meanwhile, APP had their own presidential candidate. I think that was Dr. Ogbonnaya Onu. Now, they went round, they came into an arrangement where they had to step down Dr. Onu and then
Projected Falana.
throw up Olufala, he was the candidate of AP, Olufala, he was the candidate of AD to be the number one, and bring Umaru Shinkafi from APP to as his running mate. But even if you remember that time, I think even INEC was like, how was it? I mean, INEC said, no, this can't work, because I think they were trying to have an agreement whereby they will have the two logos of the two parties on their campaign material. I don't even remember eventually, but you remember at the end of the day, people from the AD said after the election that apparently that the APP people did not deliver as agreed. That they only did their own thing when it came to the governorship and the senatorial elections and all that. But when it came to the presidential election, that most of the APP people still went ahead and voted for PDP. Which was responsible for Olufala losing that elections to General Olusegun Obasanjo. So that option is there, even though I don't see how it's going to work.
All right.
Because unless you have someone who's ready to sacrifice his ambition and step down, how is it going to work? Both men, Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar, are determined to run for election in 2027.
Well,
and as long as that's the case, it's going to be difficult for us to have
wait and see how it all plays out. But thank you very much for coming on the program. Simbo Olorunfemi, political analyst. Thanks a lot for your time. Appreciate it, as always. All right, that's how much you can take on the program this week. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.